Welcome comic book fans to Potbelly Gamers #Pullthis for Wednesday, May 17th, 2017. I'm your host, Glenn Kremp, aka Leafs in 6, and this is my top choices for the comics released this week. If there was ever going to be an epic week for comics, this is it. Both DC and Marvel absolutely knocked it out of the park this week. We were treated to two comics that are absolutely incredible. I myself even had issues trying to figure out which one I wanted to talk about first, just because of what happened in these two comics we're about to talk about, and I think the scope and magnitude these comics have for us this week. First off, I'm going to start with, I had trouble trying to figure out which one I want to start off with, but I am going to go with DC and The Flash number 22. I grabbed both covers or comics this week. I love the variant style comic, plus I got the lentil cover. Absolutely amazing. If there was ever a book that I felt has absolutely not only changed the DC universe, but is going to have a lasting effect in the DC universe as a single issue comic, it is this one. We have continued now with the Button Part 4. Bruce and Barry traveling on the cosmic treadwheel through the time stream there, chasing Reverse Flash, who is holding the button. They're trying to stop him because they know, as we know from issue 1, he ends up dead in the Batcave. As they're chasing him, they start to hear voices calling out to them. Barry's telling Bruce throughout the thing, don't worry, it could be alternate timelines, alternate things, let's keep going to try to grab Abaddon. It's absolutely amazing where this goes. We do see that he snaps his finger, Reverse Flash does, and ends up on a whole different plane where Barry and Bruce kind of end up having the cosmic treadwheel broken. Bruce is calling out to Barry, okay, you need to kind of go towards that name that's calling you. We do have a huge implications where finally we see what was calling out, and it's actually the original Flash, Jay Garrick, which was amazing. He grabs them. There's an amazing spread, as you can see right here, of Jay Garrick drawn beautifully. Absolutely amazing artwork going on into this issue. As we get through, we also now go and find where Reverse Flash is gone and tends to see what we would say is as God. And you can see the blue light coming from it, which we later is going to find out would be Dr. Manhattan from obviously The Watchmen. Absolutely incredible scenes. As you do know, Dr. Manhattan has that power to abolish people, destroying them. We see that kind of near the end with Reverse Flash as he's disintegrated into nothing. Hence, when you go back into issue 1, you see when Reverse Flash comes back, he's that skeleton left in his costume. Again, as I was saying, so many implications coming from this comic. We do have, if you remember a few issues ago in the Button, when Bruce went back and seen his father, Thomas Wayne, as Batman, he did tell him, do not be Batman anymore, let that die with me. In the closing stages of this book, we see the bat signal go off and Bruce standing there and Alfred saying, sir, are you going to answer that? And Bruce just looks down. It was just an amazing comic, as I said. I've read it twice, back to back, just that quickly. We do also have, again, the Button is now in space, and as you see it drifting away in space, the blood starts to lift from the Button, and it zooms in very closely. And as it zooms out, we end up seeing the Superman symbol, which is pretty amazing. As we also know, this week, Jeff Johns did tweet out that he's working on something called Doomsday Clock, I believe it was. And we see that full page spread. Again, an amazing issue of Flash 22. I highly recommend it just for the implications this is going to have in the future. As we do know, the Button was a chapter 2 in a 3-chapter storyline that started with the DC Rebirth. Huge. So excited for that book. I recommend that you pick it up. Second book this week, Marvel's Secret Empire number 2. Really awesome. Again, another great read. As I was saying, Marvel really brought it with the Secret Empire storyline. As we start off this book, it's the implications of that bomb being dropped on Las Vegas. We see the heroes searching for bodies, looking for things, any kind of life. We also end up going back into New York City, and we have the Defenders. And as you know, the Dark Power has kind of put a shadow over New York City, trapping everybody inside of it. We have Cloak and Dagger, who are trying to keep light or give light to New York City. And we found out that she's having problems trying to keep it, where she used to be able to keep light for 12 hours. It's gone to 4 hours. So it seems that hope is so much fading in New York City. Now we also go and get a really good, if you're just kind of jumping into Secret Empire, there's a really nice spread that it kind of explains the whole entire situation if we go all the way back to the standoff, the Welcome to Pleasant Hill standoff issues, where we have the Cosmic Cube. It was created into the, the little child Kobak, I think was her name, and then how that got disintegrated. And now what they're looking for is the pieces of the Cosmic Cube to put it back together. And even in this issue, Steve Rogers does mention that, hey, if you do get these pieces to put it back together, he can bring people back to life and he can change everything. So again, lots of implications going here. And again, also in Secret Empire, we have another scenario going on where Black Widow and Hawkeye are in a way at ends, where Hawkeye and Iron Man believe that they can bring back Steve Rogers to the good guy. Black Widow's kind of like, no, you know what, we need to start doing something, which is we may need to eliminate Steve Rogers. So we've actually separated these two fractions of heroes now to either side. Really awesome. Now the huge spoiler alert thing that happens is this. And in the back half of this issue, which is the craziness, we have the Serpent Society attacking this seemingly normal girl. As they get close to about to really attack her, all of a sudden they're scared, and a figure comes, kind of beats them up, and they run off. Literally, we find out coming from the shadows, this figure is Steve Rogers. Absolutely crazy. So now we have two Steve Rogers in this universe. We have the Hail Hydra, Captain America Steve Rogers, and now this person who's just shown up. Absolutely incredible. Secret Empire #2. Pick it up. It's amazing. Next, from Image Comics, we have Girl Scouts Magic Socks. Jim Mahfood, if I pronounced that wrong, I apologize, has brought the Girl Scouts back. They've been on a little, not hiatus, but they've been away. As we last remember, maybe 2009, I think it was, we last had the book with them. So they're back. The first thing gives you a really nice story of where they are. They separated, kind of shows you why the girls are separated, and that the Daphne's cousin has actually come back and she wants to kill the Girl Scouts, which is absolutely amazing. Absolutely crazy art, fanatic place art going all over the place. A really crazy read, ultra violent, ultra crazy, super enjoyed it. I love that in this one we did get a little bit of, hey, this is where they are. And then the back half of the comic, if you pick it up this week, you get a soundtrack listing, which I think Jim Mahfood was listening to as he wrote and drew this comic. And a lot of other fun things going on in this comic. Highly also recommend the Girl Scouts. It was just absolutely craziness. I really enjoyed reading that comic this week as well. Please pick that one up too. Oh, what's going on? That's right, it's just time for lightning round. We're gonna do our quick picks of the week. First up, I want to go with X-Men Gold #4. Yes, the return of the Cajun, Gambit. He is back stealing stuff for Traska's granddaughter. Really cool episode. Also, an interesting point is that the Serpent Society also showed up in this comic for the X-Men to take on. Really interesting that this week the Serpent Society shows up in 2 comics. Really crazy, but I did enjoy that for the first time we get to see Gambit with the new X-Men Gold. Second would be Batman #23. That's right, the oddest thing. Batman and Swamp Thing team up. Now they do team up just to find out that Swamp Thing's father was murdered. So in a really interesting way, this comic's laid out, almost like an old film style showcase with lots of chapters, and the way it looks like old film footage, as Swamp Thing kind of gets the help of Bruce or Batman to figure out who it is that killed his father. Well, he does find out who does it, and he kills him, but it's a really great story, very interesting. Always like Tom King's work. Next, Teen Titans #8, which is the Lazarus Contract #2. So as we know, Deathstroke is searching and wants his son back. He does blame the Teen Titans for his son dying. Way back with the Perez and Wolfman era Teen Titans, when he was, I forget his name, Beyonder. So that's really good going. We have Deathstroke, who's kidnapped Wally West, Flash, and using his powers. Good comic. We also have for Marvel, Generation X #1 came out this week. Just going back, we get the fun story with Jubilee and her searching around Central Park, the other X-Men. Just a fun title to pick up as well. And last but not least, Marvel's Mighty Thor #19. Last time we see Odysseus, he was obviously with the review of the Unworthy Thor. He decided not to pick up that hammer. So actually in this one, we have the Phoenix Force actually finding out that the Phoenix Force itself is actually scared of Thor's hammer. So we have Jane Foster, Phoenix Force telling Jane Foster that they can cure her of her cancer if she just hands over Moline to her, or the Phoenix, and she doesn't want to. And we do go back onto Asgard and find with Odysseus and Jane Foster together again, and we're going to see where this comic's going to lead to, which I believe is an all-new Thor coming out pretty soon. All right, that's my pull list for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching. If you could, please subscribe here or like us over here. We'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. As always, please tune in to also our podcast on the allgames.com radio network. We're live every Friday night from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this week we will be discussing, it might be comic folks, is Injustice 2, the new game that came out. We have the Flash TV show that was an amazing episode, and the season finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all this week on the podcast. As always, I want to thank washikong.com. Please check out their site for news review. Sorry, that's our site. Please, Washikong for toys and apparel. And also, as always, please support your local comic book shop. Without them, we wouldn't be able to go and get these great titles that we get every week. Thank you, and see you next week.